Welcome back to Dead to the Co. This is Chris,
And I'm Ian.
and we're back to do another episode here. Today, we're going to do something a little bit fun. We got to get back to our regular programming, but we had a fun idea to draft underrated Grateful Dead. Sorry, I would always do that. Dead and Company songs. And what we're going to do is go back and forth and share one song that we believe is underrated, and we're going to do five each. Ian, are you excited for this?
I'm really excited for this. I'm excited to see your list. I had a little bit of trouble qualifying for myself, like what is an underrated song. And I ended up with what I think you did with like in the context of Dead and Company, because especially for the Grateful Dead, all the songs are talked about so much.
Right.
Um, but I picked a couple that I think are underrated and also maybe a little less played.
Yeah, I did the same. There might be some songs on here. I know there's a few of mine that are familiar and people obviously know of them and like them. So to each their own, how much underrated you believe it is. But yeah, let's just dive right into it. I think you can go first, Ian. I'm curious to see if we have any overlap.
I know. Well, I was gonna ask, did you pick more than five, just in case?
I didn't, but I'm putting myself
Yeah, that's a
on this.
rookie mistake. What if I pick one of yours? You're gonna have to come up with something on the spot.
Yeah, I'll just be browsing through different set lists as you're talking, if that's the case. Um,
That's fine. We'll get to it when we get to it. But yeah, I can start if you want me to just jump into it.
Yeah, what's your first song? Do you want to give me a hint? I can try and guess it, but I'm a little worried I'll embarrass myself.
Um, I don't think it's too much to guess, but I will give you a spoiler that it's the only Grateful Dead original that I have on this list. And I didn't really know that when I picked it.
That's really cool. Okay. All right. So what is it? Let's hear it.
So I'll preface it a little bit first that the first idea I had when you came up with this idea, this topic, was I wanted an O'Teal song. And like China Doll was close, but I think a little too played. And then Fire on the Mountain, obviously even more common. So my first pick is If I Had the World to Give, which is a Grateful Dead original. It came out on Shakedown Street. Um, Played 11 times by Dead and Company, which is up there for what I have. Um, it's a really great song. It's one that like the Grateful Dead archetype of kind of a slower ballad, kind of in the same vein, I think, in my mind of like It Must Have Been the Roses. Um, just like a very sweet O'Teal song, like same as always for him. He's very good on it. John loves to go off on this song, like very bluesy, can kind of like riff in between, um, sort of the build up of the song. So this is a song I like generally, and I think Dead and Company does pretty well.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that. So I'm glad we didn't do that. That's
Well,
really cool.
that's the theme, yeah.
What a great pick. I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to that because it doesn't jump out in my mind immediately as a song that I can recognize from start to finish, really. So I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to that one. I have a feeling I think you're a little deeper in the lore of the Grateful Dead and Dead and Company than I am. So I have a feeling your songs are gonna be some deep, deep cuts, and that is a really good one. So well done.
Yeah. And one last thing before we move on, I just wanted to shout out. So they played it 11 times, like I said. I believe there's only one on Spotify, which is how I came across it for Dead and Company. And it's Shoreline, July 2nd, 2018.
All right, I'll listen to that right after this. That is really cool. All right, so my first one is more common. They play it, I would say, a fair amount. I don't have the number of times they've played it, but it's definitely recognizable and a common song. But I think it's underrated, and it's a two-part, you know, one song that goes into, it's kind of one and a half. It goes into another song, but that other song isn't fully played. It's a little bit of a tease, and it's a cover, the second part. I think the first part's original, but I'm honestly not even quite sure. Um, I'm actually going to give you a chance to guess this. The second part
I,
is
I have a feeling I know what it is.
okay if you already can guess.
My guess would be Sugar Magnolia.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
that's too common, I think. But I'm gonna give you one more guess,
Okay.
and the second part is probably is played by one of the most is written by one of the most popular bands in the world, if not the most
Popular,
popular band.
popular band. Um, it's probably something really obvious that I'm blanking on. Um, I don't know. Just say it.
Dear Mr. Fantasy into Hey Jude.
Oh yeah,
I
that
think
is a good.
that's a yeah, I think that's always really fun when they do this. Dear Mr. Fantasy itself has grown on me a lot. So even just that portion of the song I like, but every time they go into Hey Jude, I think it just lightens up the crowd and the show, and it's just a really fun moment of everyone, singing Hey Jude.
That's a really good pick. I like now that you say it's as obvious. I think it's good for the category. I was
Mhm.
thinking like song and a half, like some Sunshine Daydream was how I got to Sugar Magnolia.
That's
I
fair.
just on that. Yeah, that's a good pick. It's one I don't really listen to Dead and Company. I like the Grateful Dead, like the Brent versions are some of my favorites of like the 80s Dead. Um, but yeah, that's a good pick.
Cool. Awesome. All right, back to you.
Yeah, so I actually don't know which one. I wrote out a list, but I don't have it in any order. So like if I had the world to give was the one I wanted to get out first. But I'm looking at I have seven total. I'm looking at the other six of which ones I want to do. I think I'll go with this one. This is a category that came up a lot in these seven in terms of like what I think are underrated for Dead and Company, and that is just Bob being like old man Bob now, and having a
Mhm.
lot of like really good slow, can really like go into like the slow tempo kind of experienced voice songs. And that's A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall by Bob Dylan, one of their many
Okay.
Dylan covers. This is the most out of the songs I picked. They played this the most. They played this 13 times. Um, I think this is a song that lends itself to like a slower pace that Dead and Company is maybe a little notorious for. A song that's very much like meta commentary on just the state of the world. I think that's what Bob Dylan said about it, like how a hard rain's just gonna wash away all like it was written in time of great conflict, and he felt like there can only be like there has to be like a climax to everything, and that's just a rain washing everything away. So this is one of my favorites, kind of across different artists, and I think this is a song that Dead and Co does pretty well.
Yeah, that's a really great pick. I wish I had that on my list. And that's one that I could have seen us conflicting on, like having both of us bring it to the table. But I really like it. That's a great pick. We at least have seen one of those at Jiffy
Yeah,
Lube
I was going to
Live.
say if I had done a little bit more research, even to the background of Bob Dylan. So like if I got the Bob Dylan history on that wrong, I apologize. I didn't really look into it just off the dome. But we did see it at least one time at in Virginia. I
Hmm.
don't remember exactly when. It might have been our first show, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember which show it was, but I think, and if they may have played it multiple times there, but yeah, at least once. So that's a really good pick, and I like that one. It's a great song, and Dead and Company do it well. So very cool. All right, my next song is similar. It plays to Old Man Bob, although I think Jerry Garcia, excuse me, I think Jerry sings it very well as well. So it's a song that's been around for a while, and it's definitely been around for a while. It's an old folk song. It's one of my favorites. I think you'll be able to guess it, but I want to talk about it on this pod because I think sometimes it gets a little bit of hate because it's a slower song, but it's really pretty, and I think all the band members shine on it. Well, maybe not all the band members, but it plays well with John, Bob, and Jeff. And can you guess what this old folk song is?
I I have a couple guesses. I don't know if I have one that lines up with you saying that Jerry did it well, although he did. I just don't know how.
I just think his voice sounded good on it. Don't read too much into that part.
Well, I am trying to think. So I wanted to say The Wait, which I don't know if is right.
No,
Um,
this
what
was a
was
Scottish ballad, I believe.
oh Peggy-O?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I didn't even think of that, even for my list. I think this is a podcast favorite song, if
Right.
I had to say.
Right. I think we both like Pagio a lot, which is why I had to bring it to the table and talk about it. Yeah, I mean, there's some other good versions of Pagio out there. Joan Baez has a version that I believe is titled Fenario, but it sounds very good. Bob Dylan has his Pretty Pagio, which is a variation of the song. It's not quite the same, but it's similar. So it's definitely a song that among their contemporaries was popular. And I think it just falls in the line of underrated. I think they've played it a decent amount, but I don't think it gets the love that it quite deserves. So that's why I wanted to shine some light on Peggy L.
Yeah, that's a good pick. One of my favorite all-time Dead and Company shows was a song in or a show in New Orleans. I wish I had. I won't look it up. I don't remember which year, but it was one of the New Orleans shows where they played that and they played Truckin'. They hit all like the references to Louisiana, and you can hear the crowd go wild for it.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. Yeah, that I think I may have heard that Peggy O, but maybe I'm just thinking that. But back to you, Ian.
Yeah, so kind of um, going off one that I thought that we maybe both would have. Um, this might be a little cheating, although now we're getting to the ones that they're all kind of like this, where Dead and Company only played it twice, but it kind of it's a category of songs that I think they generally do well. We saw this live. I don't know. Do you want to try to guess it? I can
They've
give you
only
a
played it
hint.
twice.
I can give you a couple hints, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
might
we
make a fool of
hints
myself, but
are we did see this live, and it was a topic of conversation the next day that we got asked about it when it happened. One of my
um,
favorite Dead and Company moments.
okay, so did we see it in Hampton?
Yeah,
Was
they're
it the
probably
man sitting in front of us who was asking
so.
us?
So the story was we were down at the Coliseum when they did their fun run in what was it 2021? I don't remember the exact year. Um, it might have been 20. No, it would have been 2019. I don't remember.
2019.
Maybe it was 2019. Yeah. Okay. So it's my favorite things. Um, so it's a Rodgers and Hammerstein cover, Sound of Music. But in the context of that and Company, and most of the times it's covered now, it's a John Coltrane cover, very jazzy. I I am assuming when we first heard it, then that was their debut. Because what happened was when we were going to the show the next night, someone asked us like, "Oh, were you there last night? Like, did they really play my favorite things?" And we're like, "Yeah, man, it was sick." But they played it one other time. It's coming out of drums, jazz jam, um, kind of in the same category as Milestones. I was between the two, but this had a personal connection, so I picked this one.
Yeah, I was gonna guess Milestones actually. At some point, it just sounded like that would be a song that showed up here. But Milestones, they've played a few more times. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I looked at it's they played it I want to say 13, definitely double digits. They have a preference for Milestones.
right. But my favorite things, wow, what a pool. That is a deep, deep cut. So I like that a lot. And one that again, I'm gonna try to go back to our show and listen to that. Um, that's really cool. I think I remember the person who was asking us. He was like sitting in front of us and
No, it was when we were going in. I know who you're talking about. It was a
okay,
different.
someone different. Okay. Maybe he's listening. Maybe they're listening to the podcast. We'll see. Um, Next for me is going to be a bluesy song that John shines on, which is most of their blues songs. He does a really good job at. But this one, I think they debuted it a little later on in Dead and Company's touring time, I think, but maybe it was something that they played beforehand. But I don't know. Do you want to take a guess at what song this may be?
Okay,
If not,
dude,
it's
we're
okay.
so bad at guessing.
Okay, no worries. You don't have to guess. It's Next Time You See Me. Um, I think that song is really good. I just think they do a good job on it. Not much more to say other than that. But what are your thoughts on Next Time You See Me? Do you like it?
I honestly can't put in my head. This is
Right.
gonna be one I'm gonna have to go and listen. How do you know how many times they played it?
No, but let me look that up. What website were you using for that?
I was just using Setlist FM.
Okay. Let me take a look as we're on here because I'm genuinely curious and I kind of want to see when they first played it. Um, okay, I just typed in next time you see me and it didn't come up, so I don't know. But oh, statistics. Oh, this is very cool. Wow, this is like baseball reference, but for songs, for bands. Let's see, Dead and Company. Since we're here, does this give you like? It would be so cool to see like in-depth statistics for like this band. All right, Dead and Company artist, all tour. Wow, this is so neat. Okay, popular set list, artist statistics. Here we go. Okay, yeah. So, wow, this is interesting. Drums in Space are the most popular, of course. Brown Eyed Women is the most popular like song that they play outside of those. Um, they play Brown Eyed Women 74 times according to Setlist FM. So let me see if I can find Next Time You See Me. I'm scrolling down a little bit farther. What if I do Control F? I know this is great podcasting. Okay, they played Next Time You See Me 14 times. It's a Junior Parker cover. So there you have it. Seems like,
Interesting.
yeah, it seems like all of our songs except for like Peggy-O so far are falling around that like 10 to 15 range.
Yeah, I was looking at that list when I was deciding, and I figured not that that was necessarily the point of the theme, but anything that was played a bunch, I stayed away from.
Yeah. Alrighty. Back to you, Ian.
All right, so this is gonna be my fourth. Um, hmm. So I'm just looking at the list I have now. I think again, like I said before, with Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, a lot of these ones are going to be a song where I think Old Man Bob does pretty well on, and I'm
Right.
gonna go Werewolves of London, the Warren Zevon cover.
I
They,
almost I almost included that.
yeah, fun song. You know, normally a set close or not set closer, normally show closer. They played it 9 times. The one I like is they did it on they may have done it on multiple Halloween shows, but there's a specific Halloween show that I like to listen to where it's I believe the closer, fun song,
Hmm.
Bob and John sharing the lyrics, always fun. Um, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that is a really fun closer of a song. So I really like that pick for you, and I kind of wish I had stolen that one earlier to get that on my. I almost think of our picks here as like starting rotations in baseball, and to have that as your four starter is a really good pick.
Okay, so that was how you were making your list. You're like, what's
A little
who's
bit, not fully, but a little bit since we're drafting them and everything. Okay, next for me, and I feel bad taking this one because it's more of a song that belongs to you, I think. You have been on this song since day one, and I kind of came in a little bit later, and I recently texted you about it, and then you shared with me some good versions of it. Ones that we have seen live
I'm gonna have to look through my message. I don't even remember this.
It's a song that you really appreciate. It's a good encore song. It's Americana, folky imagery. Do
You're
you
gonna
want me
make
to
me
tell
guess
you?
it? Yeah. I don't even
I,
remember when we talked about it.
Black Muddy River,
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
which I want to say might be a little more common. Let me look here on this website. Black Muddy River, yeah, 29 times according to Setlist FM. So by far one of the most popular that we've said so far. But yeah, Black Muddy River is just I'm gonna go out on a strong limb here and say that's a Robert Hunter song, um, because the lyrics scream his imagery. So let me just double check that here. Yeah, it is. So yeah, Black Muddy River. I think one of it strikes the chord of like one of my favorite sides of the Grateful Dead. Of course, they're psychedelic. They are bluesy. They do everything. But when they kind of go home to the river and the rocks and the mud and the country, that really plays well with me, and it's also a good fit for Jerry as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a song where I mean we literally one of our I don't think it was our first show, but maybe our second. It was the encore and we're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, okay, let's get out early before the traffic."
I
And I
know.
distinctly remember a couple years later, a couple years after that, and a couple years before now, um, there was a show where we didn't need to have to leave so early that we had already decided that we were going to stay for the encore. And it's Black Muddy River again, and that was a really good version.
It
Um,
was redemption for us.
yeah, that's probably the one I recommended. I still listen to it a lot.
Yeah, that's why I felt bad sharing it because it's a song that I associate with you, but it sounds like you didn't have it on your list, so I'm happy about that.
No, yeah, no, it's definitely one that's worthy of putting out. I'm glad you had it on your list.
Cool.
All right, so last one from me. I kind of wish I ended on Werewolves of London. I think that would have been a good end to the
Right.
pod. I was a little worried that you had it. That's why I went to it before this one. But to finish out my five, it's a song that I'm almost guarantee you don't know. They only
Mm.
played it twice, and that is Spoonful.
Oh, yeah, no chance.
Uh, so when I was looking at the list, I found to see how much they played it. Apparently, it's a Willie Dixon cover, the great version that I just listened to before we hopped on. I know it as a Howlin' Wolf cover. I love Howlin' Wolf. Old blues. Um, they also cover Smokestack Lightning, which they played a
Right.
decent more. Um, again, nice and slow, a lot of room for John to get some blues licks in, and then Old Man Bobby just has the perfect vibe for this old song.
Awesome. Yeah, send me your favorite version of that and I'll take a listen because I'm not familiar. I think if we averaged out all of the songs played, like the amount of times they're played on your list, it would probably be less than 10 for like the average. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, hold on. So 24. I know this is great content. 33,
It
37.
honestly is very
So,
interesting.
so like six around.
Okay. Um, I'm kind of, as you're talking and as I'm talking, writing down for me the amount of times they're played as
Oh,
well. I can,
sorry, seven. Did the math wrong in my head. 36.
okay, gotcha. Um, okay, so for me to close this out, the next one is going to be, I think, the most popular that we've said. It's a two-parter though. They don't always play them together, but let's see. But they do play them together at times, and I'm associating them together in my mind for this. So it's not something like Scarlet Fire or China Rider. It's more obscure than that. But when looking up the first song, it ranks as um, the 27th most popular song they play at 57. The songs next to it are US Blues at 58 and Sugaree at 57. So it's more popular than Sugaree, but that's just part one. The second part of the song is technically another song, and that is has been played 23 times, which goes down to 77th most popular. So it's one that too I could see there being allegations of maybe a little bit of like dead and slow, at least for the second part, and that maybe Grateful Dead play it better. But I still really like it, so I think it still is a good job by Dead and Company. Do you want me to tell you what that is?
Um, yeah,
So Saint Stephen is the first part,
okay,
which is played just the same amount of times as Sugaree. And then the second part is the 11.
okay, yeah,
So I think it's just a lot of fun. Like when they go into the 11, that's kind of the part that I'm saying is like underrated. Like St. Stephen's great, but I think a lot of people like St. Stephen. But when they go into the 11, the dun 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 dun, like that time signature is a little irregular and it's very swingy and bouncy and kind of sounds like tropical in some ways. It has like a little bit of like a choral feel to it. I think choral is one of the lyrics too. So, yeah, I like the 11, and it's one that I'm just starting to get more into. So I paired them up together.
yeah. That's a good one to end on too. I think
Hmm.
that's definitely one that I'm not sure. Like obviously, like it's hard to follow up uh Saint Stephen, but
Right.
yeah, that's a good pick.
So can you read through yours one more time, and then I'll read through mine?
Oh god. Okay. Hopefully I get the order right. 'Cause I didn't really organize these, but so my first was If I Had the World to Give, and then my second was Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. Then my favorite things, Werewolves of London, and then finishing with Spoonful.
Cool. I think out of yours, my favorite is A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, and that is probably the most popular answer, but that would be what I would say. Um, what would you say is your favorite out of yours?
I mean, it depends what you mean by favorite. Like favorite played by Dead and Company.
Yeah.
Um, Probably Werewolves of London, I'd say.
Okay. Cool. Now I'm kind of wishing I chose that one. All right, mine were Dear Mr. Fantasy and Hey Jude, Peggy O, Next Time You See Me, Black Muddy River, and Saint Stephen in the 11. This has a lot of ones that I could see you liking. What would you say is your favorite out of those?
Out of those, I think Peggy-O. That was a good. I think I like subconsciously like stayed away from ones that I listened to a lot. Maybe
Hmm.
ones that like that a company didn't necessarily play a ton. So Peggy-O is probably one of the ones that I would have picked, but I feel like it's so I listen to it so often. I don't know if I consider it underrated, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. And I was kind of thinking the same thing, but then I was like taking a step back and saying, okay, does the average listener probably like, I want to share what I'm passionate about and what I'm into in terms of their songs. So that's why I landed there. But I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, I would say Peggy is my favorite out of those. So Ian, I think what we have to do is in our next episode, we say our regular programming, but it's only happened once on this podcast where we review
And not
an
even with us. It was just
yeah, it was just myself. I think we got to pick a show to watch next, and I think we should just pick it on the spot here so that the listener can listen to it ahead of time as well. I'm gonna let you kind of pick this one. Do you want to pick a show that you haven't seen before, or do you want to
I
recommend a show
think
that you like?
I I'm gonna pick a random one on Spotify and then we're just gonna go to it.
Let's do it, man. All right, so Ian's pulling up
I have
Spotify.
it on my second monitor, so oh no. Hold on, sorry. I picked one that we went to that my cursor landed on.
Wait, that's
Um,
so funny.
how about uh Gillette Stadium, uh so Foxborough, Mass, July 2nd, 2022.
Awesome. I just wrote that down. I'm glad that you said the year so that we didn't confuse years like we did last time we tried to do this. That sounds really good. I like the 22 tour. I had reviewed the Citizens Bank Park one, which I think is like a week later maybe than that show that we're gonna watch next. So we're going up to New England for a 2022 tour show.
Next stop on the tour.
All right, that sounds like we're gonna have Jay on the drums. Um, it's pre John using his Silver Sky every song essentially. He I've noticed on the 22 tour he plays the Silver Sky, but he still plays his other PRS, the kind of burnt orange one. I don't know the name of the model. Um, so that's kind of what I associate with 2022. Each tour has like its standout moments in my head, and this was when Jay started to come into the mix more, which I don't know if I want to just say that here on this podcast, but I think Jay's been a great addition to the band, and that's no disrespect at all to Billy and Mickey, but Jay brings a little bit more punch, I think, to the mix. Um, so we'll see. We'll see how this concert goes. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I'm excited to check it out.
Sweet. All right, that's all we have today on Dead to the Code. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Make sure you listen to the July 2nd show in Foxborough, Massachusetts, 2022, and we'll be talking about what we think. Have a good one.